Cameron's promised referendum on Britain's membership of the EU might not happen till the end of 2017, but already the rival campaigns are gearing up for a battle that they think might even be sprung on them next year. And it's not just a battle between those fighting to stay in and those wanting out. Ellie Price reports.
It will be the question that could fundamentally change the outlook of this country. But Britain's place in Europe is still really rather up in the air. Of course, we don't actually know when the EU referendum will be. The bill to make it all happen is still going through Parliament and is not expected to be sorted until the end of the year at the earliest. And until then, the Electoral Commission can't designate who the lead campaigners on either side will be. That's a big decision. Although the details need to be finalised, being the official campaign brings certain irresistible benefits, aside from kudos. A campaign spending limit of up to £7 million, it's only £700,000 if you're not the official group. Access to TV broadcasts, as well as a mail shot for campaign literature using the electoral roll. The Electoral Commission will make its decision based on which groups have the broadest support and the money. The latter certainly doesn't seem an issue for anyone, but the former could be a sticking point for all. With one of the best views in London, work is underway to get this Out Campaign's HQ ready. They're launching in the next few weeks and won't even tell us their name yet. But it's an outfit that's being run by a former senior Tory advisor, Dominic Cummings, and Business for Britain's Matthew Elliott, the man who successfully ran the No to AV referendum campaign.
From Business for Britain's perspective, what they've seen is that they've seen the constant offer of what is on the table in the renegotiation removed and lowered. You know, to win the referendum, I believe you need a broad-ranged campaign which brings in people from all sides, from businesses, from inside and outside of politics. That's the kind of campaign, backed by people who know how to win a referendum, that we're building.
The group has support from some MPs, including the Conservatives for Britain group, who last week announced the former Chancellor Nigel Lawson as their president. He wants, in his words, to prevent less moderate xenophobic voices dominating the debate.
Calling from the No.eu campaign?
That annoyed the rival Eurosceptic campaign, Leave.eu. It switched its name from the No.eu campaign when the referendum question was changed. It's part funded by the UKIP donor Aaron Banks and is Nigel Farage's preference. The Sunday Politics has been told that the group is in advanced discussions with some big union leaders who could come on board at the end of this week because they don't want to share a platform with Tory outers.
We're non-political, we're not related to any political party, we are the People's Campaign. UKIP have endorsed us because they understand this is actually not about political parties, it's about a single issue. We're up and running and we've got groups forming all over the UK, we've got donations coming in, thousands of people have already donated.
Things are slightly simpler on the other side. They've got a name, the In Campaign, and they're officially launching in a few weeks' time. This programme understands Peter Mandelson is likely to play a key part. That could cause some friction with senior Tories, while some on the left say they'll never fight alongside the Conservatives.
I think there are lots of different arguments about why we're stronger in Europe. So lots of different people will be talking to people that they know and groups that they know. So the fact that one particular party doesn't want to sit with another particular party is not the question here. It's a bigger question about the future of Britain, and it's way above politics.
Hi.
But Labour inners say the issue is entirely political and want to harness Corbyn mania to their advantage.
I want it to be seen as a distinctive Labour campaign. We have got the organisational ability, we've got the data, we've got all the stuff we use when we're fighting elections. To put all of that at the service of remaining in the European Union, you know, is very distinctive from umbrella groups and other associations.
The one thing all sides agree on is that the battleground for this referendum must be beyond Westminster. That's not to say there won't be a battle in Westminster, as very different factions scramble to lead the fight in what will decide Britain's future with its neighbours.
Ellie Price reporting. I'm joined now in the studio by Steve Baker. He's chairman of the Eurosceptic Conservatives for Britain group, and by Damien Green, who's here on behalf of the In Campaign. Welcome to both of you. Mr. Baker, let me come to you first. Both Conservatives for Britain and this other Leave.eu, they're campaigning, basically want Britain out of the EU. Why are you more intent on bashing each other than on fighting those who want to stay in?
Well, of course, we're not at all. And the consistent approach of the For Britain family of campaigns has been to welcome what Leave.eu are doing, because we're very happy for them to spend money explaining to people the flaws in the European Union.
Well, Nigel Farage says that Nigel Lawson's involvement in your campaign and his, quote, intimate association with the Thatcher years means that you can only appeal to a limited tribe.
Well, Conservatives for Britain is there to appeal to Conservatives. There's a Labour for Britain organisation to appeal to Labour voters, and I hope that UKIP will continue to appeal to UKIP voters.
He thinks you're too inside the Westminster bubble of SW1.
All of us represent constituencies from across the country. Now, naturally, we all come here to Parliament, but the reality is we've got to get out across the country and explain to people everywhere what the choice is that they face, because the people will decide.
Can't the same criticism be applied to your pro-EU campaign? I mean, most people would associate Nick Clegg, Peter Mandelson, Damien Green with an unpopular Westminster elite.
Well, when we launch, you will see that actually the In campaign is composed of people from all parts of the country and from all areas, from business, from culture, from the armed services, the people involved in security and so on, precisely because this is a referendum, so it's different. And so it's not the same as a general election. On our side, there will be people who disagree profoundly on other political issues, but who believe that Britain is safer, is more secure, and is economically stronger because we're part of the EU. And we'll all make that argument, whatever disagreements we have and whatever our background. But it is a very diverse campaign.
Mr Farage briefed reporters last week that your group had refused to engage with Leave.eu. Is that true?
I personally haven't had any approaches from the campaign. Dominic Cummings and Matthew Elliott, I understand, have had meetings with them. But I have focused on the Conservative aspect of this campaign. Very happy to have Matthew Elliott and Dominic Cummings working on the wider campaign. I'm really need to leave it to them. People will have different approaches to this campaign.
Do you agree with your new chairman, Nigel Lawson, that the Leave.eu campaign could mire the debate in xenophobia?
Well, that isn't actually what he said. He said that if we left the field blank, more xenophobic voices could enter into it. But what Lord Lawson, of course, is our president. What Lord Lawson has done as president, I'm chairman, is provoke a very interesting and useful conversation in which everybody's confirmed they're not going to be xenophobic, and I think that's an extremely good thing.
Are you worried that floating voters, a lot of people haven't made up their mind in this issue, they may not until the final weeks or even on the day, that we see your campaign as being backed by the same group of well-known Europhiles who warned that it would be curtains for the British economy if we didn't join the euro?
Well, if everyone will be patient for a relatively few days, you will see who the leading figures in the campaign are, many of whom weren't around when the Euro debate was happening.
Many of whom will have been around.
Some of whom will be.
And quotes will be thrown in their faces what would happen to Britain if we didn't join the euro.
I can
correct?
Speak for myself and say I don't think Britain should join the euro, and as it happens, I don't think there's a cat in hell's chance of Britain joining the euro for as far ahead as I can see.
Many of these people thought we should.
Well, some did, some didn't. Some of them did. Nigel Lawson. I seem to remember Nigel Lawson resigning from the cabinet because he thought we should join the ERM, the precursor to the euro. So people can change their minds. But the euro will not be on the ballot paper for the referendum. As I say, I don't think we should join the euro, but there are very strong arguments for staying in the EU, which the Prime Minister said this morning, get the best of both worlds.
You'll be able to draw on the direct support of the Labour Party under Mr Corbyn?
Well, we're quite clear that the In campaign is an umbrella organisation and that there will be different organisations. You know, I chair a group called Conservative European Mainstream.
Under your umbrella?
Well, the Labour In campaign will be, but whether or not that's, as it were, the official Labour Party is something that I obviously have no input into, as you saw in your film. Alan Johnson is head of the Labour In campaign, so it will be up to him to decide how best to mesh with the Labour Party.
Many people will wonder why you both don't wait until you see what, if anything, Mr Cameron brings back. I would suggest in your case, it's because even if he brings back nothing, you would still want to stay in.
Well, I think Britain is at a huge advantage. As I say, I think we're better off because we're in the EU. I think we're made safer because of the security measures we can take.
So
But
if it's just the status quo, you think we should stay?
But no,
in?
but absolutely, I also believe, and the In campaign believes, that the European Union is not perfect, desperately needs reform. I'm very glad of two things. First of all, that David Cameron is going for this reform, and secondly, that we're now having a referendum that, having had one 40 years ago, let's hope this takes this off the agenda for another 40 years.
If he gets no more than the status quo or a minor fudge, you would still not campaign to come out. Let's be honest.
Well, I have great confidence in his ability because I've seen what he's done in the past. The answer to your question is that Britain today is helped by being in the EU. It will be helped even more by being in the reformed EU that these negotiations will come up with. Not least because the one thing that I know you had the discussion earlier on, that the point about the reforms that we want to introduce is that they're not just beneficial to Britain. It's not as a zero-sum game between Britain and Europe. They're beneficial for the whole of Europe.
And many of your people are not going to be satisfied with whatever he brings back. They've made up their minds. They want out.
But they've made up their minds where they have made up their minds on the basis of arguments which have been advanced over many years and a clear understanding of the position. For example, on the euro, I'm sure the euro won't be on the table and the Conservative Party is committed to staying out of it. But it is actually the currency of the European Union. We're staying out of it for the time being.
Some of the European Union.
Well, it's in treaty law. It is the currency in treaty law.
But there's
and we have an
almost
option
nothing
to stay
he can... I mean, we've discussed this before. There is almost nothing Mr. Cameron could realistically bring back that will satisfy you.
On page 2 of the Sunday Times today, it's reported that the Prime Minister said to Francois Hollande last year that he wanted to give parliaments a veto over the European Union where they disagreed, end ever closer union, and get rid of the European Court of Justice. Now, I would agree
from that.
Well, I would agree with all of those things. And I noticed today also the Prime Minister and other senior members of the Cabinet have made it clear that they rule nothing out. Well, my task then...
As you know as well as I, that's just a formulation to get you through interviews like this. It's a holding position.
I like to take politicians at their word, and I think the public do as well. So the task before me is to build the Conservative element of a campaign to leave the European Union, which is fit for the Prime Minister to lead if necessary.
All right. Should come the referendum campaign, should cabinet ministers, as they were in 1975, should they be allowed to go their own ways for the duration of the campaign? Those who want to leave, campaign with Mr. Baker. With those that want to stay, campaign with you.
It's not a matter for me.
No, but I'm asking for your opinion.
I wouldn't mind if that happened. I think it's a question, they will all have to take an individual decision of what they think of the negotiations. And it was a point made by the Prime Minister this morning, that he leads a government, you've got collective responsibility, and therefore the Cabinet will have to approve that. So it's an interesting question.
Should they?
Last time I was in this studio with you, I said there should be collective responsibility up to the point of decision, and then I thought they should be free. Ian Duncan Smith has now told The Guardian that he's supremely relaxed, I think he said, about it. Well, if Ian Duncan Smith is relaxed about it, I'm not going to go further than that. They can decide at the time, and let's find out. But I hope that ministers are free.
We'll leave it there. I have a feeling we'll be seeing a lot more of you in the months ahead. Thank you for being with us this morning. It's just gone 11.